Welcome to the Man in the Kitchen. Today we're gonna make this awesome smoky turkey soup. Now it's gonna be smoky because we're gonna slightly roast our bones before we throw them into the soup, which is gonna give them awesome flavor. I found these awesome pieces of turkey at the market. It's the neck, the wings, kind of some of the vertebrae there, just all the perfect pieces that you want in a soup. Now for the veggies, we have some green peppers, we have onion, we have some corn and okra and green beans, which are gonna give it this awesome southern vibe. On top of that, we're gonna hit it with some pinto beans, or if you have red beans, whatever you want, honestly, put some beans. They're pre-cooked, so we don't have to worry about that. And lastly, some tomatoes. For the spices, we got some herbs, we got some paprika, and some garlic powder. Let's get going. We're gonna start by prepping our turkey. For that, we're gonna season it with paprika, garlic powder, and our dry herbs. This is kind of like our herbs of Provence mix, but if you have some thyme, maybe some oregano, whatever you got around. Also, we're gonna hit it with some salt and mix everything together with a good amount of olive oil. Once that's done, we're gonna lay it out on a pan and put it under a high broil into the oven for about 10 minutes on each side to make sure everything is nice and charred all over. So once it's all nice and mixed up, lay it out on some foil, make sure it's all nice and separate, and into the oven it goes for about 5 to 7 minutes on each side, and then we're gonna flip it. While that's in the oven, we're gonna prep our veggies. I want the soup to have a lot of texture, so we're gonna prep it in different ways. Some of the corn we're just gonna chunk up into these large pieces that you can kind of pick out with your hands. And then some of it we're just gonna slice off of the stub and have those little individual corn pieces. We're gonna mix everything up. It's gonna be great. Next up are the beans. These, there's only so many ways you can slice them, so we're just gonna cut them into pieces, small pieces, and in they go. Next up is the okra. Now here again, we can kind of have a bit of variety. Some pieces we're just gonna half, some pieces we're gonna quarter, and then the rest we're just gonna kind of circle up into small pieces. You can have fun here, honestly, whatever you feel like. Next up, the peppers. These we're gonna dice into kind of small chunks just so that they easily mix with everything else. Lastly is the onion, which we're also gonna dice up nice and small. That, along with the peppers, is gonna be the base for all the veggies. At this point, the turkey has been under high broil for about 7 to 10 minutes. You can see it got some color. So we wanna flip it and repeat to get that same color on all sides. Last up is the garlic, which we're gonna squeeze, and pro tip, make sure you have some room on your cutting board, otherwise things like this happen. Like all my favorite recipes, this is a one-pot recipe, so get a nice big pot and let's preheat it to medium-high heat with some olive oil. As soon as that's done, we're gonna go in with the onion and just start frying it up. After a few minutes, we're gonna go in with the peppers, mix everything together, and again, just let it reach that high temperature and start frying before we follow up with the rest. onions and the peppers really started to sweat. You can see some of the onions turning golden, maybe starting to fry up a bit. We're gonna go in with the beans, which we're gonna just plop in there, mix everything up, give it a few minutes to integrate with everything, and then follow up with the rest. Soon after the beans, we're gonna go in with the okra and just repeat. Again, mix everything up, let it all integrate and kind of come back up to temperature. The last main veg is the corn. Again, plop it in, mix it up, bring it up to heat. Next up are the tomatoes. I got a can of whole tomatoes in here that I'm gonna throw in there. I like the extra texture that the whole tomatoes add, so I'm not gonna go with a puree here. Just plop them in, crush them in there, mix everything up. It's gonna look awesome with all those different colors. Lastly are the beans. I got a can of pinto beans in here, but if you have red beans or kidney beans or black beans, whatever beans you like, pop them in there, mix everything up, make sure it's all nice and integrated. At this point, we're gonna season everything with a good amount of paprika, garlic powder, and salt. Once all the spices are in, make sure to mix everything up nicely so that they're all spread out and everything is nice and even. You'll see there's already lots of juice in there, and this is gonna be the base for our soup. As an optional step, I also gave it a dash of Worcestershire sauce. It added a bit of tanginess in there. By this point, you can see the turkey is nice and charred on all sides. So just place it into the pot. We don't really want any of that extra fat, but you can reserve that and I can use it for cooking later. But get the meat, the bones in there, mix everything up and let it all integrate. Once everything had a chance to integrate and come back up to temperature, we're gonna go in with water. So just go in with enough water to top everything up and turn the stew into a soup. Alternatively, honestly, you can leave it as a stew, in which case just go in with less water and close it off and let it simmer. But we are making a soup here, so I topped it all off, make sure there's a good amount of liquid in there, mixed everything together, close it with a lid, and bring it up to a boil. Once it's boiling, we're gonna reduce it to a simmer, close the lid, and let it go for a good amount of time. Remember, the turkey is only charred and there are a lot of bones in there, so I wanna make sure it has a good amount of time to get all that flavor into the soup. And the meat has a chance to cook, the bones have a chance to give out their hardiness. So I let it go for about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes or so, at which point I just turned off the heat and we're ready to serve. This soup turned out awesome. Honestly, it's so chunky. It has pieces of everything in there. It was really fun to eat. You can pick out the corn, pick out the turkey bones. It has awesome flavor that kind of heats you up a lot. It has that smokiness, just absolutely delicious. It lasted a while. It was super filling. So all around, a really awesome dish. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you gave it a shot, leave your thoughts in the comments, and until next time.